When billionaire CEO Marcus Sterling slammed his fist on the mahogany conference table and demanded to meet the real architect behind the revolutionary green building design that could save his failing company, nobody expected the answer to come from the quiet waitress refilling their coffee cups. Where are you watching from? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more exciting stories. The tension in Sterling Industries' 42nd floor boardroom was suffocating. Marcus Sterling, worth $3 billion on paper but hemorrhaging money faster than a punctured dam, stared at the architectural plans spread across the table with barely contained fury. His company's reputation hung by a thread after 3 consecutive construction disasters, and the city council had given him one final chance to prove his firm could deliver sustainable, innovative buildings. The design before him was nothing short of genius, a revolutionary, eco-friendly skyscraper that seemed to breathe with the environment around it, incorporating living walls, solar collection systems, and wind-powered energy generation that could reduce carbon footprint by 80%. But something felt wrong about the presentation, and Marcus Sterling hadn't built an empire by ignoring his instincts. The lead architect, Jonathan Whitfield, a pompous man in his 50s with silver hair and an expensive suit, had just finished his presentation with characteristic arrogance. "As you can see, Mr. Sterling, this design represents the pinnacle of my 30-year career," Whitfield declared, adjusting his designer glasses with practiced precision. But as he spoke, Marcus noticed subtle inconsistencies. Whitfield stumbled over technical terms, couldn't answer basic questions about load-bearing calculations, and seemed genuinely surprised by some of the design's most innovative features. Meanwhile, in the corner of the room, 26-year-old Emma Martinez quietly refilled coffee cups and cleared empty plates, her movements efficient and nearly invisible to the powerful men discussing millions of dollars. She had been working as a waitress for Sterling's catered meetings for 6 months, saving every penny, while secretly harboring dreams that seemed impossibly out of reach. But as she listened to Whitfield's presentation, her hands began to tremble slightly, not from nerves, but from recognition of something deeply personal being misrepresented before her very eyes. "Stop!" Marcus suddenly commanded, his voice cutting through Whitfield's flowery description of sustainable materials. "Just stop talking!" The room fell silent as Marcus stood up, his 6'2" frame casting a shadow across the architectural plans. "I've built my fortune on reading people, and right now I'm reading someone who doesn't know his own work." Whitfield's face flushed red, but before he could protest, Marcus continued, "These calculations, these innovative solutions, they don't match your presentation style. This isn't your design, is it?" The accusation hung in the air like smoke, and Emma nearly dropped the coffee pot she was holding. She had spent 3 years developing this exact design during her architecture studies at Columbia before financial hardship forced her to drop out, and now she was watching someone else claim credit for her life's work. The design represented everything she had ever dreamed of achieving, a building that didn't just shelter people, but actively healed the environment around it. Whitfield's composure cracked under Marcus's piercing stare. I had assistance from my team, naturally," he stammered, loosening his tie. "These modern designs require collaborative effort." But Marcus wasn't satisfied with the evasion. He had seen enough presentations to recognize authentic passion versus rehearsed deception, and Whitfield's nervous energy screamed fraud. "Bring me the real architect," he demanded, his voice echoing off the floor-to-ceiling windows. "I want to meet the person who actually created this masterpiece because I refuse to pay millions to a liar." As the words left his mouth, Emma set down her coffee pot with slightly more force than necessary, the ceramic clink causing several heads to turn in her direction. Her heart pounded against her ribs as she realized this might be the only chance she would ever have to reclaim her stolen dreams and prove that brilliance could emerge from the most unexpected places. Emma took a deep breath and stepped forward from the shadows, her server's apron suddenly feeling like armor rather than a uniform. "Excuse me, Mr. Sterling," she said, her voice steady, despite the earthquakes rumbling in her chest. "I couldn't help but notice Mr. Whitfield's explanation of the wind capture system was incorrect." The room turned toward her with expressions ranging from surprise to outright shock. But Emma pressed on, her knowledge flowing like water breaking through a dam. The helical wind turbines integrated into the building's facade don't just capture wind from one direction. They're designed with variable pitch blades that automatically adjust based on wind speed and direction, maximizing energy generation while reducing noise pollution to less than 30 decibels. Whitfield's face went pale as Emma continued, with technical precision that left no doubt about her expertise. The living wall system isn't just decorative, it's connected to a closed-loop water filtration system that processes gray water from the building and returns clean water to the municipal system, creating a net positive environmental impact. Marcus leaned forward, his businessman's intuition recognizing authenticity when he heard it. "And you know this how?" Marcus asked, his tone shifting from skepticism to genuine curiosity. Emma straightened her shoulders, feeling 3 years of suppressed dreams rising to the surface. "I designed every single element of this building during my final year at Columbia's architecture program," she replied, her voice gaining strength with each word. "I called it the Living Tower because it was designed to be a symbiotic organism rather than just a structure." She walked toward the table, and the room of powerful executives instinctively made space for her as she pointed to specific elements of the design. "This innovative foundation system uses bioconcrete embedded with limestone-producing bacteria that actually heal microcracks over time, extending the building's lifespan by decades. The rooftop gardens aren't just aesthetic.
They're part of a comprehensive ecosystem that processes air pollutants and produces oxygen equivalent to 200 mature trees." Whitfield looked like a man watching his career evaporate in real time. But Emma wasn't finished revealing the depth of innovation he had tried to steal. Marcus studied Emma with the intensity of a man whose survival instincts had been honed by decades of high-stakes business decisions. "If this is truly your design, prove it," he challenged, sliding a marker across the table toward her. "Show me something that isn't in these plans, something only the original architect would know." Emma accepted the marker with steady hands and turned to the whiteboard behind the conference table. With confident strokes, she began sketching modifications and additions that weren't included in the stolen presentation. The original design included a secondary foundation system for earthquake resilience, using base isolation technology combined with tuned mass dampers disguised as artistic installations, she explained while drawing. "I also designed modular residential units that could be retrofitted into the upper floors, allowing the building to adapt its function based on changing urban needs." As she drew, her expertise became undeniable. Every line was precise, every calculation was flawless, and her passion for sustainable architecture radiated from her like heat from a forge. The room watched in stunned silence as Emma transformed from an invisible service worker into a brilliant architect before their very eyes. "The most innovative feature," Emma continued, warming to her subject, "is the building's ability to learn and adapt. Integrated sensors monitor everything from air quality to energy usage, and the building systems automatically optimize performance based on real-time data. It's not just a green building, it's an intelligent organism that gets more efficient over time." Marcus found himself genuinely impressed for the first time in months, recognizing the kind of visionary thinking that could revolutionize his industry. Meanwhile, Whitfield had slumped into his chair, his theft exposed so thoroughly that denial was impossible. "This is revolutionary," Marcus murmured, studying Emma's additional sketches. "Why didn't you pursue this professionally?" Emma's expression grew somber as she set down the marker. "My father was diagnosed with cancer during my final semester. I had to drop out to work and help pay for his treatment. By the time he recovered, I couldn't afford to return to school, so I've been working service jobs ever since, dreaming of someday getting back into architecture. Marcus Sterling had built his fortune on recognizing exceptional talent, and he was looking at the most promising architect he had encountered in his 20-year career. "What would you say if I told you that your stolen design could save my company and give you the career you deserve?" he asked, his mind already calculating possibilities. Emma's eyes widened with hope she barely dared to feel. "I'd say that sounds too good to be true, but I'd be willing to listen," she replied, her heart hammering against her ribs. Marcus smiled for the first time all day as he turned to address the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, meet Emma Martinez, Sterling Industries' new Chief Sustainability Architect. Ms. Martinez, your first project will be overseeing the construction of your living tower design with a starting salary of $200,000 and full benefits." The room erupted in shocked murmurs, but Marcus wasn't finished. "Mr. Whitfield, your services are no longer required, and you can expect to hear from our legal department regarding intellectual property theft." As security escorted the disgraced architect from the room, Emma stood frozen in disbelief, wondering if she was experiencing the most vivid dream of her life. 6 months later, Emma stood on the construction site of her living tower, wearing a hard hat instead of a server's apron, watching her revolutionary design take shape against the Manhattan skyline. The building rose like a green beacon of hope, its innovative systems already generating more energy than it consumed even during construction. Marcus had been true to his word, not only hiring Emma, but also providing her with a full scholarship to complete her architecture degree through Columbia's executive program. The project had attracted international attention, with sustainable architecture firms around the world studying Emma's design principles. Sterling Industries had not only avoided bankruptcy, but had become the most sought-after green construction company on the East Coast, with a waiting list of clients eager to commission similar projects. Emma's father, now fully recovered and immensely proud of her daughter's achievement, had been hired as the project's community liaison, helping to ensure that the building would serve the neighborhood's needs while setting new standards for environmental responsibility. The Living Tower's grand opening ceremony drew hundreds of guests, including city officials, environmental activists, and architecture enthusiasts from around the globe. As Emma cut the ribbon, she reflected on the incredible journey from serving coffee to designing one of the most innovative buildings in North America. The structure behind her hummed with life, its walls literally breathing as living plants processed carbon dioxide, its wind turbines spinning silently to generate clean energy, and its water filtration systems turning wastewater into pure, drinkable water. Marcus Sterling, now a champion of sustainable development, had offered Emma a partnership in the company, recognizing that her vision represented the future of responsible construction. She had accepted, but only after negotiating that 10% of the company's profits would fund scholarships for economically disadvantaged students pursuing careers in sustainable architecture. Her father, now fully recovered and immensely proud of her daughter's achievement, had been hired as the project's community liaison, helping to ensure that the building would serve the neighborhood's needs while setting new standards for environmental responsibility. The Living Tower's grand opening ceremony drew hundreds of guests, including city officials, environmental activists, and architecture enthusiasts from around the globe. As Emma cut the ribbon, she reflected on the incredible journey from serving coffee to designing one of the most innovative buildings in North America. The structure behind her hummed with life, its walls literally breathing as living plants processed carbon dioxide, its wind turbines spinning silently to generate clean energy, and its water filtration systems turning wastewater into pure, drinkable water.
Marcus Sterling, now a champion of sustainable development, had offered Emma a partnership in the company, recognizing that her vision represented the future of responsible construction. She had accepted, but only after negotiating that 10% of the company's profits would fund scholarships for economically disadvantaged students pursuing careers in sustainable architecture. Her father watched from the crowd with tears of joy, knowing that her daughter had not only achieved her dreams, but had created a pathway for others to follow. As the sun set behind the living tower, its solar collection systems storing the last rays of daylight for the night ahead, Emma realized that sometimes the most extraordinary transformations begin with the courage to speak up when everyone expects you to remain silent, proving that genius and determination can emerge from the most unexpected places to create something truly beautiful for the world.